The Light Sun Brigade's library. Valheru's training peninsula, as told by Master of Disaster. Valheruan of the Valheru. In the very old days, when Thais was already old, but the world far less crowded, there was a narrow strip of land just north of the city that we, in Valheru, quietly claimed as our own. It was, and still is, just a peninsula, with 2 lonely snakes. We called it home. Our guild house, the Halls of Adventures, stood proudly nearby, though proudly is perhaps a generous word for a building constantly echoing with clattering plate armor, excited shouting, and at least one paladin tripping down the stairs every evening. Still, it was ours, and we were proud of it. And every afternoon, like clockwork, we gathered on the peninsula for what outsiders would have called training. But what we knew was a strange mix of discipline, chaos, and social event. It always started small. Maybe Teros and Barnes, 2 knights who could block wolves in their sleep, would take the lead. They'd lure a pair of wolves north, each letting the beasts gnaw on them, just enough to keep their shielding dreams alive. Then Dragon Slayer, our paladin of many arrows and even more opinions, would show up with 2 snakes following him, like he was their worried mother. A chain formed, then a second, then a third, and before long, the peninsula was alive with clashing swords, barking wolves, hissing snakes, and the sound of Kitiara mumbling fire incantations under her breath, while pretending she wasn't secretly magic training. As for me, Master of Disaster, the knight with the questionable spelling, I was usually among the first to arrive. I was social, eager, and maybe a little too proud of my dragon shield and fire sword. In my mind, they were the height of equipment. In reality, well, let's just say the dragons weren't losing any sleep. But the best part wasn't the grinding. It was the way friends brought friends, and those friends brought more friends. Half the peninsula looked like a family reunion of people who'd never met before. Of course, where there are young adventurers with decent gear, there are also those who collect young adventurers with decent gear, violently. And one name stood above them all. Beautiful, the peaceful scenic peninsula of Valheru became a lot less peaceful whenever he paid a visit. I remember one day, vividly, the peninsula was quiet, too quiet. Only me and one other guildmate were training. The rest had been scared off by a streak of assassin activity earlier that week. The wolves paced, the sea whispered, and then Beautiful appeared. You never forget the feeling, the name, the sudden silence in your chest, the tiny, traitorous voice that says, "You're wearing a dragon shield. You'll be fine, right?" He came straight for me. I felt the adrenaline shoot through my hands. My fingers trembled so much, I was surprised I managed to cast a single heal. My heart was hammering, like a dwarven smith at full speed. There was no courage, no strategy, just pure, beautiful panic. I ran as if my very training, every lesson carved into muscle and bone, depended upon it. And let's be honest, it did. I ran past wolves, past trees, past every inch of land that had shaped our training days. I ran until the stones of the Thais North Bridge came into view, like a divine blessing from Banor himself. For some reason, Beautiful stopped. Perhaps he grew bored. Perhaps he found a shinier target. Or perhaps even an assassin respects a knight so determined to keep his misspelled name alive. I survived. Barely. When I returned to the guild house, breathless and shaking, the others didn't mourn or scold. They laughed and cheered. They slapped my back and said, "Master of Disaster strikes again." That was Valheru. We were proud and chaotic. We were social, ambitious, and maybe too obsessed with training. But we were together. On that quiet peninsula, under the ancient skies, we built friendships and memories far stronger than any shield.